What I feel like is that, in a way, addiction is a good analytical tool, a good way of looking at attachment and dependency. In a way, I feel like it's just the amplification of the way that everybody lives through attachment, through external means, fortifying ourselves with, may I say, a wonderful attire, or possibly through personal achievement and success. That we are looking to somehow supplement our experience of being through materialism, through individualism, through consuming.
I mean, you describe your addiction starting with penguin bars in front of the telly, right? Just shoving chocolate biscuits in your mouth, and that then...
It's actually very gently done. I wouldn't shove them in. I would eat off the top bit, then scrape out its little brown guts, then
You're
nibble
a pro
round.
with a penguin.
Much.
Right. I mean, would you say that's an addictive personality, or would you say you were just worried about your mum's health?
Well, quite possibly, Emily. Like, I think there are numerous ways of narrativizing a condition, but what I sense is that for me personally, I've always had a yearning and a longing, and I see it in a lot of people, and I think that we live in a culture that overstimulates this tendency to long, because it's a necessary ingredient for people to consume. So I think that in a way that addiction is consumerism writ large. It's also a kind of an awareness of dissatisfaction. Most of the people that I've known that are like what you would call, I suppose, obvious drug addicts are looking for something. They're looking for connection. They're looking for actually something that's perhaps more spiritual than material.
What about sex? Would you have called yourself a sex addict?
Well, possibly not at the time, but I think in retrospect it was pretty clear that I was using sex to medicate and to feel connected and to deal with that yearning and longing. So yeah, in fact I started to think that the object of the addiction becomes less and less relevant, like consuming, just buying stuff on the internet, or staring dumbly at social media when you didn't intend to, or staying up too late imbibing some mindless crap, online. This too, for me, is connected to that longing. It's more obvious when it's heroin, it's going to end with medical and criminal problems. But I still think you're dealing with the same germ. Because I've experienced, forgive me, sort of a promiscuous lifestyle, because I've experienced indulgence in all kinds of other ways that I thought might resolve the way I feel, I now know that they won't.
When you look back at that promiscuous lifestyle, does that appall you? Do you think, God, I was disgusting? Do you look at your daughter now and think, I hope she never meets
Emily,
Russell Brand when she grows up?
Don't get so worked up about it. It's only a rhetorical device. Does it appall you? No, my dear. I don't look back at the past and get all worked up about it like Ebenezer Scrooge. I simply think those are some things I've done, I've amended for them. And as for the likelihood of some sort of Faustian kick up the arse from future Russell, if my daughter meets somebody who's caring and sensitive and knows how to communicate, then I think that will be a good thing. And I hope that by the time that she is dating men or women or whatever it is she's into, that she will be schooled in how to think, how to understand emotions, and to understand that whatever it is that presents himself, herself, itself at that doorstep, it won't make her feel any better if she's not connected to who she really is.
Jacob Rees-Mogg famously said that he'd had 6 babies and hadn't changed a single nappy. You're a nappy changer, are you?
Of course I do, yeah. What else are you going to do? The bloody smell's unbearable and she's annoying if you don't change her nappy. What I want with her is to feel like I have an essential connection to this little mad, leery person who screams and shouts at me, whose first word is ow, because it's all she ever hears me say to her, because she's ever grabbing my chest hair or my lips and pulling and tugging them. Ow, 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 ow. She thinks it's a word, like a little vicious alien.
You came on Newsnight, some years ago, and you proudly declared that you hadn't voted, you didn't see there was any point, you encouraged apathy amongst people. Why would you do that?
It was a reaction to politics at that time, which I think subsequently it's borne out that a lot of people felt similarly, that they were not being offered viable alternatives. And subsequent to me saying partisan politics is meaningless, we've seen a huge lurch to the right, we've seen Brexit, we've seen the rise of Jeremy Corbyn. I don't think that I was some kind of soothsayer, Nostradamus on a peninsula peering out into the bleak unknowable. I was simply taking the temperature and speaking on behalf of a lot of people.
Do you think it was irresponsible to encourage people not to vote, or do you think...
No, as a matter of fact, in my more optimistic moments, I hope that it may in some small way have contributed to what we have subsequently seen. the Labour Party electing a leader that is engaged and engaging, that is authentic and that is truthful and that is listening to people and that seems to be like a human being that connects, not some bizarre automaton, technocrat, lunatic with a rictus grin staring at you out of the pages of a Quentin Blake book, like a real human. So I think it's a great thing.
Are you in favour of Brexit? I know you didn't vote in that referendum, but do you have a sense of what it feels like now?
To be honest, I source my emotional connection to politics beyond those kind of parameters. What I'm interested in is people having real power and people being able to control their own lives.
People would be dying to know if you're broadly in support of where this country's going next, or if you think it's a bad thing.
I can well understand why people would vote against. Well, I think what happened is, in the case of both Trump and Brexit, that people saw a bright red button that said F off establishment, and I think they pressed it, and I understand why they would. And like most people, I don't really understand what Brexit really means.